everybody. So when I bought my tractor, I chose to go with a third function instead of a set of rear remotes. I figured 80% of the time I'd be using the third function, and maybe 20% of the time I'd be using the rear remote function, as I have probably 3 or 4 pieces of farm equipment that I'm only going to use for gardens, food plots, stuff like that. And I think I found a way to work those transport wheels without having a true set of rear remotes. So supplies for this one: brand new ASAE 2.5 by 8 stroke hydraulic cylinder. Some of the stuff came from my local Tractor Supply, some came from Rural King. Next, I have 2 of these 3/8 male pipe to 1/2 inch female pipe swivel 90s. So hopefully those are right. And then 2 high pressure hydraulic hoses. These are 2-wire 3500 PSI 12 foot. And for the actual connections I have when I bought my grapple, when I bought my grapple, it came with flat face connectors because I bought it used, and I really like the flat face. You don't lose any oil. If you do, it's very minimal. When I had my third function installed at the dealer, it came with these Pioneer fittings. So I'm going to reuse these Pioneer fittings, because I won't be using this a whole lot. So let's get going and see what we can come up with. First thing here, shouldn't be really using Teflon tape on some of these fittings. So I bought some Apache thread sealer, especially for hydraulic hoses. So let's get some of this stuff opened up, see what we can make work. I think it's time for a new blade. One 12-foot hose. It's spring cleaning, so I'll get this stuff later. 2 hoses. Let's cut those open here. Alrighty. Cylinder open here. Pay attention when you buy cylinders, because some of them don't come with pins. This one actually did, so that saved about, I don't know, 8 to 12 bucks. And nothing I have is really heavy, so this 2.5 should hold that. So let's get this tore apart here. Oh, first try, lucky guess. Like I said, I bought this stuff at 2 different stores, so hopefully everything fits all right. Test fit there, that looks good. Press the wrench that fits. There we go. So there are some certain benefits to having true rear remotes. If there's different style valves you can put in. The only thing I want right now is when I hit the button, I want the wheels to go up. When I want them to go down, I hold the button until they go down. That's it. Granted, I won't be able to use these transport wheels in any sort of float function. I won't be able to run anything off the back that's going to take high hydraulic pressure or a valve I can lock open. But for what I'm doing, I'm going to go this route. I want to see if some of this equipment that was left here by the previous owner even works, and then maybe I'll invest in a set of rear remotes or 2. But for right now, everything I have, nothing has wings on it. You're not going to pull anything with the wings on it with a Kubota 3901, but that's what we're doing. This was just kind of the cheap way to run a set of rear remotes here. Or actually run rear implements, I should say. A 5/16 Allen. Just pop those out. Fit in here. Little hydraulic sealant pipe dope stuff. Get that in here. Handy dandy crescent wrench. Give this a couple of turns to get it the angle I want. I'll probably leave this one on a little bit of a angle there. Maybe knock the other one back a little bit. So I got a little clearance. So actually, I have another set of females somewhere. I have to find those. The males are not going to work. I just want to look at the tractor. I was backwards in my mind, which happens a lot. So save those for another project. So now we're going to hook these hoses up here. Make sure those fit there. And let's get a little thread locker on here. If you notice, different diameters in there. I mean, they're both 1/2-inch fittings, but there's a bigger orifice and a smaller one. On my tractor, they have the small side nut hooked to the fitting, and the larger side hooked directly to the tractor. So that's what we're going to do. And I don't know if it makes a difference a whole lot, but let's try that. Just make sure you don't get your threading dope or pipe dope or thread sealer. Make sure you don't. You keep it a few threads away. Like right there, I'm a little light. Get that snug down here. And actually, I gotta go grab a different crescent wrench. Gotta go buy more crescent wrenches. Seems like this size always disappears. This one is actually in the tractor toolbox, so it's always something. Let's get this snug down here. I'm trying to think what I did with those female connectors, but yeah, we'll find them sooner or later. Now these are 12-foot hoses, so I measured best I could without actually having the hoses there. These should hook right up to most of the implements I'm going to be using. There's a drag, a couple spike tooth drag harrogators, whatever you want to call them, and a disc. And there might also be a small chisel plow that will work behind the Kubota, so we'll just have to see. And if they're not long enough, you can always just throw them together and buy a longer one, and no big issue there. It's not wasting any money. Alright, that one's tight. Let's get this other hose unwound here. I don't a lot of farm equipment, 8-inch stroke is usually a standard from what I've found, research-wise anyways. At least for the stuff I have, I think 8 inches is about it. On the back, the female connectors I had were not 1/2 inch. I don't even know what they were from. So, had to make a quick run to town. Actually, called ahead. A couple places didn't have these. It's planting season right now, so I'm sure guys are breaking hoses and fittings. So, unfortunately, I had to go to the dealer. It is what it is. So, 2 female Pioneer fittings. I already tried this one on the tractor. It looks a little different, but it still fits. So, let's go ahead and get these bad boys on here. Need a paper towel holder. So got that there. Thread stuff on here. Yeah, so it's been, the other day we had some temperatures almost in the 80s, upper 70s. As you can see, I put a vest on. It's in the 40s here and it's dropping. So it's supposed to get down to 28 tonight. So I got to lighten the chicken coop, but they're only 4 weeks old, so they might have to spend one more night in the garage. But it is what it is. The weather this year, I don't know. I don't ever remember being it just weird weather. But then again, 2020, it's been pretty weird to begin with. So here you can see my third function valve that operates the grapple on the front of the tractor, or any other attachment that requires one on the front. I already unhooked this one. As you can see, I know which one this goes to. I just took a paint pen, put a couple black stripes on there, which match the black that I colored in there. That one, when I switch these around, I still know what's what. And this is, real quick, I want to show you, these are just your standard Pioneer fittings. This is why I like flat face fittings. So you're always going to have a little bit of drippage out of the Pioneers. You can see there, I switched out my grapple to flat faced, but I didn't want to go through and redo all these fittings. These aren't going to get changed a whole lot, and that was just an unnecessary expenditure right now, being this is what was already on here, because a lot of these flat face fittings are $50 a piece. So as you can see, I got the hose running up through there and then plumbed right into the third function. I'm not sure if these are right or not. I might have to switch them over to get them to work how I want. But it goes back through there. They'll go right down. And there's the cylinder for my implement. So let's see if I got them hooked up the right way. Well, there you have it. I must have had it hooked up the right way for what I want it to do. So it does, when I hit my top button, it does what I want it to do. When I hit my bottom button, it does what I want it to do. So, like I said, this isn't a end-all, cure-all for not having rear remotes. My thing is, this was a cheap way for me to operate the transport wheels on my equipment, to see if I would need a set of rear remotes, and more importantly, to make sure that this equipment, I'm going to keep it or what I'm going to do with it. So I'll put a black mark on this one, so I know this one always goes here. I'll probably get some colored electrical tape at some point, but I could not find any today except black, and I like to get different colors on there. But that's what we're doing. I'm happy, so let's get out, hook something up, and see what we can figure out. Another thing before I pull this out of the garage, it does take quite a bit of fluid to fill these 12-foot lines and that cylinder on the floor there. So I'm gonna go grab, I bought a new funnel just for this UDT. I don't want anything else to contaminate that. So I'm gonna go grab that funnel, top this off, and see how much it's gonna take. But it used just about half a gallon replacing what was in those two 12-foot hoses and that cylinder here. And I have a handle on order from Messick's to match the left side because it bugs me. And then if I'm doing something with this for a day, I can zip tie these to that so they're not bouncing around. So I think the wife wants to go buy flowers. Yes, we're going to buy flowers for Mother's Day. I can get back hopefully and see how this bad boy works. Yeah, buddy, it works. As you see, we are making some progress. I goofed up on this one though. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this was kind of sitting in the dirt. I thought that was the end of the tongue right there. All that was underneath the dirt. That about 3-4 foot section there. So my hoses were a little short, which is fine though, because I honestly don't ever plan on using this thing. And the implement I measured off of was the disc, and that's a lot closer to the back of the tractor. But I pulled the tractor up, it lifted it, which was cool, and then I just hooked it to a 3-point kind of drawbar there, and that's here. So gonna go see if I can get something else out of the woods before the sun goes down. So walking out here to take a look at something. But closing thoughts on the no, you want to get my shoulders? Hold on a second. Closing thoughts on the hydraulic cylinder running off the third function. I like it. It has its purpose and it works. I'm getting my head smashed by a munchkin who's a cat. But I got to make those hoses a little longer. Even on the disc it works, but I think if I turn hard left I'll have an issue. So I'll go buy some 5-foot hoses, hook on that, and it works. So at this point I don't see a need for rear remotes. That might change in the future, and to be honest, I don't even know if I'm going to keep that disc. It needs some work, and I think for the way I want to do it and restore it, I can buy a brand new one cheaper, so, or one that a lot newer. I found a nice 8-foot John Deere on Craigslist. That's pole type, so it'd use the same cylinder. So either way, I'm not out my money. But just thought we'd do closing thoughts on that. But it's an easy way to do it. I mean, you already have the fittings and you already have the valve there. So 2 hoses, a cylinder, a couple fittings, and 2 ends, and you're in business to do stuff like I want to do. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you don't mind, hey, what do you always yell at me to tell people? Like and... She's being a punk today. Hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Take care, everybody.